So recently I found out my 15-year-old son, Jacob, pulled an incredibly cruel prank on one of the girls I'll call Ashley, that's in his friend group. I know this girl, she's been to our house and even attended Jacob's birthday party a month ago. She seemed incredibly sweet if not a bit shy. So when my oldest son, Mark, he's 17, came to me and told me Jacob had asked Ashley out on a date as a prank, I was stunned. I of course asked how he could know this, hoping as any mother would that it wasn't true. But Mark showed me the family tablet we all use, but mostly my sons do, and it seems Jacob forgot to log out of his chatting app, Discord. I read the long series of messages between Jacob and his friends as they mocked Ashley all through this heartless prank. I was speechless. And that's not even getting into how he was talking, like he was some thug and not a 15-year-old living in a gated community. At first I couldn't figure out what to do or how to proceed. I'll admit that I never once imagined either of my boys would be the type of person to do something like that. But there was no way in hell I was letting this go. So after a day of thought I decided what was going to happen. First things first, he was grounded, for how long I'm not sure. Secondly, I'd gotten Jacob a bike for his birthday, but it hadn't arrived until the day previous and I'd planned to give it to him when my parents came to visit since they'd been unable to make his party. But instead of that I showed him I knew about the prank and told him he was grounded. Then I made him carry the new bike out of my bedroom closet and to the car before driving to Ashley's house, him crying the whole way. I'd called her parents earlier and explained everything, and so once we got there I had him cart it to their front porch and ring the bell. Then in front of me, Ashley, her parents, and God, I had him give a sincere apology and gift her the bike. Even I apologized to her, saying I didn't raise my boy this way and what he did was unforgivable. I also called the parents of the other boys who were a part of this little stunt and they all seemed rightfully horrified by their son's involvement. I felt I'd handled this all as best as I could, and my friends agreed. Though once my parents found out that I'd made Jacob give his birthday gift away, they said what I did went too far. I still feel like what I did was right, but having my parents more or less dogpile on me like this actually made me wonder if how I handled it was too extreme. My girlfriend and I have been together for 6 years. I know she's been wanting to get married and wanting for me to propose for a really long time. I've always put it off cause I never felt I was at the right spot for it, and I wanted to wait for the right time. Nevertheless, I know she's been waiting for it patiently for a long time, and if it was up to her, we would have gotten married years ago before I was even ready. Anyway, I figured since she's waited so long, I wanted to make it as perfect for her as possible. I chose the weekend of our 6th anniversary of our first date to propose to her. I was planning to have her come over to our house, I would have my mom and sister vacate for the night, and I would prepare a very nice dinner for her and would propose during that. I had written out this really long speech which I'd memorized after much practice because I wanted it to be perfect. Now my girlfriend has always wanted me to learn how to cook. I'm ashamed to say I've never properly learned how to cook, and I've never been really good at it. Since I live with my mother and sister at home, they always cook for me and they've never really needed me to cook. It's always one or the other of them, or both of them, doing cooking. At best, I'd just do washing up or chop up onions or something simple. I told them, look, I desperately need to learn how to cook a very nice meal. I told them she's always wanted me to learn how to cook. And it would be great if I could surprise her with this excellent dinner that I've made myself. She would never expect it from me. She would be thrilled. I told them I might just need some guidance. They weren't that enthusiastic first, they were like, we're really busy, we don't have time to teach a child how to cook. I told them it's really important, and to help them understand the gravity of the situation. I told them I was proposing tonight. They both went crazy and excited, like, oh my god, have you bought a ring yet? I showed them the ring, and my sister went flipping crazy, screaming, crying tears. I told them I was probably going to ask for their opinion on it anyway. And they were really enthralled and so excited and happy for me. My sister was literally crying and breathing heavily. They asked for details and everything about how I was going to propose. I recited the long speech I'd memorized. They told me it was beautiful, they love it, she'll love it. Again my sister was crying even. I told them so this is why I need to cook tonight. She's always wanted me to learn to cook, and if I make a nice meal for her, I want to make our night as magical as possible. My sister was like, no way, if you cook, you'll it up. Just let us cook for you, and say you did it. I said, no, it has to be me, it has to be me. It's really important that I do it, I don't want to deceive her. We reached a compromise and they said we can do it together. My mom supervised, my sister will take charge. And I'll basically just follow instructions and help her out. It turned out going really good, but how much I really contributed is questionable. They ended up taking way too much over me. Way more than I had planned. I had wanted to do it all myself with their guidance, but I ended up being just a helper while my sister did most of the work. I didn't want to let that spoil the night, so I just let it go. Then my girlfriend arrived at the door, and my mom and sister were getting ready to go out. When they greeted her, my mom was acting cool, polite, very poker face about it, I guess 'cause she's a mature adult. My sister on the other hand was acting like a jittery little schoolgirl, just jumping out. It was really cringy and awkward to watch. She kept telling my girlfriend how beautiful she looked tonight, how excited she was for her, how we were perfect for each other. The way she was smiling and acting too excited really gave it all away. She said, he's got something really special planned for you. I kept trying to push her out the door and telling her to shut up, but she just wouldn't, and she kept chatting to my girlfriend. I wanted to push her out, but my girlfriend told me I was being rude to her, and I should let the talk. I just sighed and knew it would end badly, but my sister kept being as unsubtle as possible. I really wish I could be a fly on the wall here tonight, you are so lucky, if only you knew. My girlfriend was then, is he going to propose? My sister didn't say yes, or no. She just gritted her teeth in a big smile like SND just started screaming and crying and hugging me, suffocating me. My mom was trying to pull my sister away, but she just started screaming, show her the ring. Show her the ring. I told her to seriously shut up, and that my mom was clearly waiting for her, but she kept shouting, show her the ring. I tried to explain to them that this really wasn't the way I had planned it. I wanted to do it when we were alone and I had a long speech planned. They both just wanted to see the ring. I said, can I at least say the speech? My sister was like, you should let him say it, it's a really beautiful speech. I started and I barely got 2 sentences in when she interrupted me and was like, actually it's 2. Long, you can say it later, just show her the ring. I wanted to wait until we were alone so I could say the speech and then show the ring, but they were both literally screaming at me to show them. I told my sister she'd already seen it, she said she wanted to see it again, and my girlfriend told me I had to show it to her now. I showed them the ring again and they both started shouting and screaming. They literally both jumped on me and pinned me to the couch like a lion grappling a dying elephant, and ripped the ring from my hand like a lion tearing meat from its prey. I told them to get off, they were suffocating me. But they were both literally hugging me to death while screaming like hyenas into my ears. It was like WWE or something, it was unreal. I tried to pull away but they were both just hugging and kissing me and screaming into my ears, clawing at me and the ring like rabid animals, squeezing and suffocating me. My mother did nothing to help. She just stood there laughing as I went down. I realized they were mainly interested in the ring, so I let them have it and crawled away to the side of the couch where I could breathe properly. I felt the evening was ruined already. I had nearly just been clawed to death. I didn't know if my clothes were ripped. My hair was completely messed up. I had both their lipsticks smudged on my face from their dual hyena attack. And my clothes were a complete mess now. It was an infuriating mess of a situation and I felt gross. I just sat quietly there for at least 2 hours while my mother, girlfriend, and sister sat together looking at the ring, talking and chatting amongst themselves and acting like I wasn't there. The entire evening was ruined. My mom and sister were meant to be going out for the night. They didn't even leave once and were there the entire time. The food that I had made was getting cold. I told them dinner was getting cold. They all said they weren't hungry and just sat there looking at the ring, obsessing over it like they are Gollum or something. Me, the boyfriend, the groom, may have as well been invisible. They were all completely ignoring me, pretending like I wasn't there. I had planned this perfect evening between my girlfriend and I where I could propose. I'd been preparing it for such a long time. It was completely hijacked by my mother and sister. My sister spoiled it and didn't even feel bad about it. Worst of all, My girlfriend didn't even seem to mind. I told her this wasn't the evening I had in mind. She didn't care. She was too excited about the fact we're finally engaged. I didn't even get a chance to say my speech. She was like, "Don't worry, you can say it tomorrow. I'm too tired now." It really hurt my feelings. I don't think she understood how sad that made me feel. My girlfriend didn't even seem to care that it wasn't even really me who proposed to her, and the way my sister was acting. You'd think like she was the one getting married. This entire evening I'd planned out for so long. I'd been entirely cut out of it. Sidelined. Reduced to a spectator. After we finally did have the dinner, I asked my girlfriend if we could spend some time together in bed before she goes back home for the night. She was like, "We can't. Your mom and sister are here. We can't just leave them." I told her they weren't even meant to be here. They were meant to have gone out tonight, and they both were like, "Yeah. Go upstairs. Don't worry about us." I told her she really shouldn't worry about them. We should both just go upstairs and spend some time together. She was like, "No. It would feel too weird and awkward." Well, that bad so much. I felt like the entire night was ruined. I'd barely gotten anything out of it. I didn't even spend any time with my girlfriend. My sister completely spoiled and ruined everything. The entire night was hijacked. I tried to explain to my girlfriend why everything that had happened, including her own behavior and acceptance of it, really bothered me. She didn't seem to understand and just brushed it aside. I explained to my mom, and she sort of understood and was apologetic, but tried to dump most of the blame on my sister. My sister was still in an excited, giddy mood. I asked her what was wrong with her. She said nothing. I told her she'd ruined the entire night, and she acted like a 12-year-old or a clown. She got offended and denied it. She refused to see what she'd done wrong and how she'd ruined everything. I don't understand her behavior at all or why she would even act that way. I'm kind of hurt and offended by everything that's happened and the way they reacted to it. Do I have the right to feel this way? Should I just let it go and move on, or is there something I can do so that my grievances don't go unaddressed and ignored? I recently got married to Matt. Matt has a stepsister, Tiffany. I have met her less than 10 times in the 5 years I dated Matt, as she doesn't live nearby and is not close to my husband. However, she was invited to our wedding. I should mention that Tiffany is very attractive. She is pretty, with a currently fashionable body type. She also dresses well and spends money on her appearance. This is well known, and even though I've only met her a few times, whenever she is brought up by my in-laws, she always mentioned as being very invested in her image. I don't begrudge her this at all. The ceremony went fine, but afterwards, while my in-laws were congratulating me, my father-in-law commented that I looked beautiful, and in the next breath mentioned Tiffany did, too. His wife caught his eye and shook her head, but I ignored it. When Tiffany came over to say congratulations, she looked stunning. Her dress was beautiful and fitted her perfectly. Her hair and makeup looked like they'd been done professionally. And she was wearing a pair of obviously designer shoes. Her outfit was totally appropriate for the event. But I was still weirdly upset by how she looked and immediately felt self-conscious next to her. Even Matt told her she looked great, and they rarely talk. For the rest of the night, every single male guest at the wedding asked about Tiffany, who she was, how I know her, if she was single, etc. By the speeches, I was fed up and almost in tears, and even the best man mentioned her in his speech off the cuff. I let it go, went on my honeymoon, and tried to forget the whole thing. We came back about a week ago, and this past weekend had dinner with my in-laws. Tiffany was visiting, and we learned that she had got engaged. She showed us her comically large ring and said she was planning to have the wedding next year and that it would be a black tie event. Before I could stop myself, I jokingly said that I was pretty sure I'd already been to her wedding. I was the one in the white dress. She asked what I meant, and I thought there was no point in lying, so I just admitted I felt she upstaged me at my wedding. She laughed and said, "You can't upstage a bride." I asked if I could wear white to her wedding then, and she shrugged and said, "If you think it'll help." She then apologized if I felt her outfit was inappropriate. My in-laws moved the conversation on, and we went on with dinner. When we got home, my husband blew up on me, saying I embarrassed him by being petty and jealous of Tiffany. He said he doesn't even like her, but even he knows she can't do anything about what she looks like or the clothes she can afford. And I made myself look bitter and childish, and him by association. I admit it wasn't my best moment. But I thought he would at least understand how I felt given that he heard everyone's comments that night. He's demanding I apologize to Tiffany and his parents, but I don't think I said anything that heinous. My girlfriend, Rose, and I have been together for 4 years, and she is 5 months pregnant with our first child. My mom seemed to really like Rose, or at the very least tolerated her, but after we announced that we were expecting, something definitely switched in her. She has become extremely rude and disrespectful towards my girlfriend. She makes passive-aggressive comments at every chance she gets. I've had to take a step back from my mother until she fixes her behavior. Rose had gone to visit her family who lives far out of town. It was a very last-minute trip, and she drove herself to the destination and back. Unfortunately, at around 6 p.m., her car broke down and she was forced to pull over. Fortunately, my brother, Chris, who's great with cars and lives about an hour and 1/2 from where Rose was stranded, was willing to pick her up and sorted everything out. I was out of the country, so I'm grateful that my brother sorted everything out for her. Chris moved back in with my mom about a year ago. Obviously, the situation wasn't the best, especially considering the tension between Rose and my mom that exists for no particular reason. But I hoped my mom could put her pettiness aside for at least a night. It was too late for Chris to drive Rose back home, so my brother told her that he would drive her back tomorrow morning. An arrangement that my mom seems to not like, but one that she managed to keep her mouth shut about, my girlfriend tells me. Rose helps prepare dinner, wash up, and actually engage in a decent conversation with my mom for the first time in ages. However, they mostly avoid each other. Chris goes to bed earlier, leaving my mom and Rose. My mom lives in a 2-bedroom apartment, and since both bedrooms were taken, Rose assumed that she would be sleeping on the couch. She apparently assumed wrong. My mom gives Rose the thinnest blanket ever and basically screams at her, telling her that she has to sleep on the floor to not ruin her couch. She tells Rose to make do with the pillows on the couch and the blanket that provides zero warmth. Rose thought about protesting, but ultimately decided against it. According to Rose, my mom kept opening her door to check if she was sleeping on the couch, so she couldn't even try to sleep on the couch. At 5 a.m., Chris found Rose on the couch and let her sleep on his bed. He ended up telling me, but told me to not make a big fuss out of it. I did the exact opposite. I called my mom, very angry, and told her that she was disrespecting her so badly. She tried to defend herself by saying that she didn't harm the baby, and it's okay for pregnant women to sleep on the floor. But I refused to hear any of it. Chris agrees with me, but told me that I shouldn't make it a fight. I feel like I'm losing my mind.